All right, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing out there? I am Frank Red, and welcome for another edition. Welcome to another edition of the New Dungeon Show. Um, Looking forward to talking to everybody tonight. We've had an incredible past couple of weeks in sports that culminated in literally some of the best games I think that I've ever seen before in my life with regards to men's and women's basketball. I don't think it's hyperbole, but it'd be interesting to see if you all have a different view on what we witnessed in the men's and women's gold medal games, ironically against the same country, against France, who the men and the women literally played the games of their lives. Some of the players from France made a lot of money against the United States, even though they lost. The United States won the gold medal led by Stephen Curry, and we'll get into that, because it was much more than just led by Stephen Curry. This dude did something that 30, 40 years from now, people will still be watching with their mouths out. The United States won 98-87 in the gold medal game, and the biggest star of that particular gold medal championship game was Stephen Curry, somebody who we are very, very familiar with, and I don't think anybody takes it for granted. If you do, don't take it for granted, because it's never going to be another Stephen Curry. Like there was not, like there hasn't been another Jordan, there hasn't been another Kobe, there'll never be another LeBron, Kevin Durant. There'll be different iterations of something else, which is exciting if you're a basketball fan. We don't know what Victor Wembanyama is about to do, but it's going to be exciting over the next 10 or 15 years. Hopefully, I'll get an opportunity to watch it like you all, because it's going to be exciting. I mean, I was watching that game yesterday and saying to myself, Victor is 20 years old. There's never been a 20-year-old like that before. 26 points in the championship game against the United States. What is he going to look like at 25? You know, the next Olympics, 2028. By that time, he'll be a multiple-time All-Star, maybe have an MVP under his belt in the NBA. He's going to be a problem. He really is. So I salute Victor, and I salute the entire French team. I thought they played extremely well. And we'll get into some of the, the conversation surrounding the team, which seems ridiculous to me, about players who didn't play. And anytime that people say that Steve Kerr is not a good coach, is not a great coach, I just laugh. I'm like, have you coached before? You can disagree with him. No coach is perfect. But to say that but to say that Kerr sucks, that's madness. With regards to the women, I wasn't all that surprised, to be quite honest. The teams in Europe and in other countries, other continents, are getting better. I mean, if you watch the United States women's play against Belgium, that game was very, very competitive. And France didn't have the skill that our women's team had, but they were more physical. And they're only going to get better. And I was happy for Gabby Williams, a young lady who's from the United States, who's from Nevada, actually, played at UConn. Literally, she had to go overseas to get her just due. She was outstanding. And if it wasn't for a couple of inches, the game might have gone to overtime. The United States won 67-66. She makes a last-second two-pointer as opposed to a three-pointer. But who knows? If that game goes to overtime, the way that they had the momentum of the crowd, the way that the referees were calling that game, the French women could have very easily won a gold medal. But they didn't. Our women gutted it out, did what they needed to do to win their 8th consecutive gold medal, which is astonishing when you think about it, and their 61st game in a row. Pretty impressive. We got a lot to talk about with regards to the Olympics. NFL has started. I got some thoughts about that, some of the things that we've seen thus far. I can remember saying 6 or 7 months ago when I saw Caleb Williams crying on the sideline because he had made a couple of mistakes and they had lost the game. I was like, this is not the guy that I'm going to take number 1. I got to eat my words. And I've been building up to that. Caleb Williams has an opportunity to be special. You know, and I think he showed some flashes this past weekend, yesterday against Buffalo. I'm not comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, but one thing that I will say about him, he has a great imagination and he understands nuance. And I think that's the number one skill that Patrick Mahomes has. He doesn't have the strongest arm. He's not the fastest, but his understanding about the complexity of football and his ability to be resourceful at the most pressure-packed times is what has defined him as a 3-time winning Super Bowl winner. And Caleb Williams looks like he's going to have a stellar rookie year. We're going to talk about some of the things that you've seen in the NFL preseason week 1. We can do that as well. I want to get some people in here, then I'll lay some more stuff out there. Let's go out and talk to the great Vicky, who says, "Hi, Frank. How are you doing? I'm going to ask you the same question I asked you the other day. Why do a lot of people think Steve Kerr is a bad basketball coach? He has done nothing but win." Because they really can't relate to what he does, Vicky, which is a shame. Because there's a lot of leagues out there that you can volunteer coaching young kids. If you're really a coach who's serious about it, then you can ascend and maybe coach junior high, high school, JV. People who say Steve Kerr is a horrible coach can't relate to coaching. It's simple. You know, this is not a video game. Now, do I agree with everything that Kerr does? No, I don't. But do I think he's a hell of a coach? Hell yeah. First and foremost, as a coach, what you have to do is block out the noise. Block the noise of the fans out. You got to block your own team out sometimes. As I was preparing for this show, I started thinking about the saying that I created 10 plus years ago. I've never heard anybody else say this. I'm going to say it again. Great coaches do not make great players. Great players make great coaches. Great coaches help great players become better, but they don't make great players. So it's about the players. Steve Kerr has given many of his players the confidence to go out there and do what they do. That's his job as a coach. That's every coach's job. Make sure your players are ready. Kalia Cooper, the young lady who plays for the Las Vegas Aces, didn't play a whole lot early in the Olympics. But when Cheryl Reed went to her today, she was ready. 6 of 6 from the free throw line, clinching that victory. Part of that is coaching, because she could have been like Jason Tatum, pissed off. And I got to give Jason Tatum a lot of credit too. I think the big dogs and maybe himself, but he was okay. He was okay as a teammate. He cheered for his friends. You know, he was a little salty, but I got to give him credit. I think at the end of the day, everybody was on the same accord. But Vicky, that's the only answer that I can give you about Steve Kerr. People say that he's a bad coach because they don't know what he does. They can't relate to it. That's the only thing I can say. Gundocious says, if Kerr won't play Jason Tatum, then Moses Moody doesn't stand a chance. That is funny, my brother. And it's funny because I just said that Steve Kerr doesn't do everything right. And is he a little stubborn? Yes. I've been saying that for years. You know, and one way that you can kind of counteract that is if you empower your assistant coaches. When your assistant coaches have the ability to put players in and be accountable for their minutes, that's better for the players. I've experienced that. I had a couple of assistants. I had one assistant who I respect so much. He's a great entrepreneur, so on and so forth. And I gave him the responsibility to sub guys in and out. And I held him accountable, but he had the ability to sub players in and out. And the players that he put in were so appreciative of the power that he had that they went out and they played their tails off. I don't know if Steve Kerr does that. And to me, I wish he would, because a guy like Moody needs to play. My man Keith says, what's up, Frank? Love seeing those Curry flurries. The last two games brought back some good memories, and we needed it badly. We were up against the ropes the last two games. Yeah, man, that was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. I can't imagine being there. I got the sense that everybody who needed to be there in France was there. But I didn't have to be there. You know, I didn't have to. I had so much fun watching it on television by myself, trying my best to stimulate those conditions. I would have been the guy setting the pick. I wouldn't have been the guy shooting. I would have been the guy setting the picks to get Stephen open. But I could share in the glory that he must have felt. That was unbelievable. Now, I'm most happy for basketball fans who actually were there. And I said this earlier this week. I've seen Stephen Curry play live in Oakland at Chase countless times. I never take it for granted, but I know what it feels like. Can you imagine what those fans from around the world felt being there in the moment? We literally had NBA Hall of Famers who were in the building doing backflips and headstands. That's how happy they were. That's how awestruck they were about the brilliance that they were watching, not only from Stephen, but all of our team, the team in general, rallying. I love that. And she says, hi, Frank. How you doing, brother? What's up, man? Good to see you. So, yeah, that was big time. Also, remember when KD waved off Embiid against Serbia? That was a Jordan moment. That was a Byron Russell Jordan moment, because it was so matter of fact. Embiid was coming up there and KD literally said, get the hell out of here. I don't need you right now. I got this. Just like Jordan did. Forget about pressure. That was his moment. He took it and he iced the game. That was a big time moment. Beautiful to watch. One of the questions I want to ask you all out there listening is, after watching this Olympics, and I know like emotions are high, some might say hyperbole, but in a way I don't think so. Do you think that any of these guys, I mean the top three, I mean LeBron, Stephen, and KD, and maybe Book to a certain degree because he was very consistent, Did this Olympic experience change your point of view or raise the bar even higher that you've had for these guys in terms of respect and where, those three players fit in the pantheon of all the great players that we've seen in the history of basketball? I mean, there was something online that says, who's a better point guard, Stephen Curry or Magic Johnson? And it took me longer to hit the Magic button. I didn't say Stephen, but it took me longer to hit the Magic button because I had to think about it for a second. And I don't know what Stephen's position is. He's lead guard. He's not the quintessential point guard. He's almost in a category by himself. We've never seen anything like this before. That was lovely. One question I have for you, and you don't know all the players that's going to be available 4 years from now, but you have an idea. Who is a player or two that was not on this Olympic team that you think will represent the United States in 2028? I haven't even seen Cooper Flagg play a college game yet, but I think he's going to be on the team. He's somebody that and Mikal Bridges is somebody else who I think is likely to be on the team. But there's a lot of people out there who might emerge. And I'm interested in seeing where your minds are with regards to that. Also, watching Caitlin Clark and her family, her boyfriend, throwing out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium, taking pictures with Aaron Judge. Did the women's game lose anything by her not being there? Because I don't think it did. People were talking about a boycott. People are not selling out the women's game. They're in revolt because Caitlin's not there. I thought that was kind of weak. I really did. I think had they chosen the team later on, she might have been on the team because she's a hell of a player. I love watching her play. But I think everybody who was on the team needed to be on the team. There would have been more pressure on Cheryl Reed, the coach, to play her just because she's Caitlin Clark. That could have caused some problems. The physicality of the international countries is on 10. So I don't know how she would have responded against the physicality that the other countries played with, i.e. France, Belgium, Australia. The culture is different. And she has an opportunity now to have a real starring role in 2028 without a whole lot of controversy. I can't wait to see her in Los Angeles playing for our women's team 4 years from now. But I don't think the women's game lost anything. I think that was really about basketball. It wasn't about popularity and growing the game. Come on, man. You saw those ladies today on France's team crying on their knees, on their backs. That was about winning. They grew the game by playing well, by exhibiting excellence. That's how you grow the game. Not by popularity. Vicky says, Katie and Steph work so well together. They do. And don't forget about LeBron. I know you didn't include him, Vicky, but man, watching Steph and LeBron play together, it's almost unfair to us as basketball fans, not getting into the histrionics of LeBron and, there's some drama there, but just strictly keeping it basketball. Those three players together were outstanding. As good as any triumvirate that we've seen play this game. When you consider LeBron's almost 40, Stephen's 36, and KD's going to be 36 next month. They can stand on that. We've never had an Olympic team this damn good where the best players on the team were the oldest guys on the team. I got to salute those guys because we've never seen that before. And I love when KD was asked a question about playing in the Olympics in 2028. And he didn't dismiss it. He kind of shrugged his shoulders like, we'll see. I love that because the international teams are not going to get worse. They're going to get better. It wouldn't surprise me if Stephen played. It would not surprise me. It's hard to see LeBron playing. But Stephen and KD, I think if USA Basketball, granted that they can still play. If USA Basketball came to them and said, yo, fellas, we need you, I think they'd think about it. Key says, Tatum was not better than any of our wings on this roster. He needs to play better defense, and he will be a star on the next Olympic team. Yeah, man, you sound real intelligent. You obviously know basketball. You know, there's no favoritism. The only favoritism that I saw and it worked out was Curry's going to ride with Stephen. And he definitely was not going to sit LeBron. But when they evaluated Tatum in practice, they saw with their own eyes that, yo, the game is 8 minutes shorter. So that's 8 minutes. That's 8 less minutes that the coach has to distribute. And like you said, Keys, if you got Tatum out there, you don't have LeBron or KD out there. He's not better than either one of those players. And the other thing that hurt Jason Tatum was Steve Kerr played Devin Booker and Anthony Edwards together. So Book was playing some small forward, or Edwards was playing small forward, and that took minutes away from Tatum when they wanted to go with that lineup. So it had nothing to do with favoritism. He don't like me, and that's really stupid. It was a learning experience. And I don't care what team you have. In a competitive situation, I don't know any coach who can play 12 players. I just don't. It's impossible. I should tell players all the time, listen, you need to be in my top 8. I know I can play 8 players. I can probably play 9. I can't play 10 guys. Against good competition, you got to let people feel it out, get their rhythm, and get into the flow of the game. You have to do that. It definitely seems like a different game, NBA compared to Euroball. Way more physical, shorter three-pointers, and court size. Which do you prefer? I take the NBA all day. NBA aesthetically is more fun to watch. You have to be able to shoot better in the NBA because the three-point shots are longer. The more skilled play, the NBA game also supports athleticism in ways that Euroball doesn't. They play a lot more zone. You know, the three-point shot is shorter, which means you can pack in your defense. You know, I played Euro-style basketball. I was thinking about this today. I don't know where it is, but I actually won a gold medal on the NIT All-Star team I was on. And the game is different. The court, the way that the square is different. It's wider. I don't know if it's wider, but it's a different game. I like the NBA game. Although, if you are a player, right, you should be able to adjust in any style. So, if the United States had lost, it wouldn't have been because the game is different. It's because they got outplayed. You know, that's why they would have lost, because they got outplayed, not because of the dimensions of the court. Now, I saw a clip with Dennis Schroeder. You guys saw Schroeder last night talking about, he said, well, European basketball is more about IQ and NBA basketball is more about entertainment. And implying that somehow the players are better. I totally disagree with that. And he goes, well, I got to be careful. And he was coming off a loss to Serbia. So I think he was a little salty because they won it all last year. And in the Olympics, they didn't even medal. And I started thinking about that. I said, okay, let me think about that. Players that are born outside of our borders have more opportunities to come to American schools and play in our communities, on our teams, with American coaching. That's why they're getting better. It isn't like they didn't have the physical talent. Everybody has talent. But you don't see Americans at 13, 14 years old packing up and going over to England, going over to Africa to play. We don't do that. You have a couple of kids who've gone over to Australia to play in their pro league. But I'm like, dude, flip that around. How many players from outside of the United States come here to play basketball at a very young age? So it's not that America is getting worse. The world is getting better. That's what's happening. I think it's great for the game. You know, I'm still not willing to pass the baton over to anybody else. It should be alarming to young players that there's a reason why every year there's more and more players from foreign countries playing in the NBA and playing in college, because they're coming in ready to play. It doesn't mean that the coaching is necessarily better. There's an emphasis on fundamentals, and I think that their coaches still have more power than they have over here in the United States. That's an issue, because you got to learn these skills. And it is, in basketball, just like most sports, it's based on fundamentals. Talent will only take you so far. But the idea that America is losing in the basketball arms race, if you will, I totally disagree with that. And this is going to be an interesting year in college basketball, because I think college basketball is going to experience a resurgence, because there's some young boys who are going to play in college this year. They're going to be household names, kind of like a Caitlin Clark type moment. Klingon, the center who got drafted by Portland with the 7th pick overall out of UConn, he's about 7'3". There's a chance he could be on the Olympic team. He's going to be one of the better defensive players around pretty soon. So, interested to get your thoughts on that. Maybe you agree with Dennis Schroeder. I don't agree with him. I think that the world's getting better, and they're going to continue to get better because they see the opportunities, and many of them do emphasize, or they practice on their fundamentals. The Americans catch up. It just takes longer. I mean, we haven't seen anything like KD. They were saying that stuff about American players when KD was in high school, when LeBron was in high school. I want to talk about the Olympics in general. Is it just me, or do you feel the same way? This might have been the best Olympics that I've ever seen before. I've never watched so much Olympic coverage in my life. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, I'm getting more mature, I'm getting more appreciative of other things, or was I just captivated? Or was I just engaged? I think it was because I was engaged. How good the athletes were at whatever sport they were playing. I think NBC did a terrific job, and they made a hell of a lot of money. They've already said that. But the coverage was really, really good. I think that the time difference also worked for television. It was a 9-hour difference, so the sports and the coverage could be presented in a time that was conducive to people watching it live. That was a big deal. Now, when I grew up as a kid, one of the top sports in the Olympics was boxing. Boxing is dying a slow death. And that was disappointing to me. I was like, where are the boxers? We don't know their names. We know more names on the women's Olympic basketball team than we do our men's and women's boxing team, which is shocking. It's never happened before. Is it just because MMA has gained in popularity? I don't think so. I just think that there's been I think boxing is de-emphasized and it's not as popular for whatever reason. Are the boxers as good? Maybe we have some boxing aficionados who listen to the program. But just in terms of the coverage, I just didn't see it. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't see it. I also think that breakdancing was a major hit. I thought people thought it would be cool to have breakdancing in the Olympics, but I don't know if anybody thought that it would be as successful as it was. I think you're going to see a lot more breakdancing in prime time in 4 years in Los Angeles because it's been a big hit. And being a hip hop artist myself, I was all over that. Track and field was a monster. I love track and field. And I got a question for you. Sha'Carri Richardson, the young lady who was disqualified from competing 4 years ago, made the team this year and won a silver medal in the 100. And she anchored, what was it, the 400, the women's 400, and won the gold medal. I think the question that I have is, did she change the perception of what folks thought of her nationally and worldwide? I hope so. Because I think she put in a lot of work. And I think just having a silver medal, that was appreciated. But the fact that she got that gold medal, I think might really set her up for bigger and better things. And I'm happy for her. And I hope that this metamorphosis or this transformation or this evolvement will continue with her because it's a good story. It's a good story, and she should feel real proud of herself. She's gone through a lot, and I think she represented herself and America as well as anybody in this Olympics. But I'm interested in getting your thoughts on that. She take a lot of heat. Glendosha said, you had to see the Australian lady breakdancing. I saw her. That was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. Yeah, doesn't she have I think she has a doctorate in body movement or something like that, but she was just toying with the competition. That was dope. So a lot of young ladies who love breakdancing, you gotta step your game up because she ain't going nowhere. She gonna be in LA in 2028. That was dope. I asked a question about any of the American basketball players. Do you think that their performances individually or collectively has done anything to add on to their brands? I'm also going to ask Warrior fans out there, based on Stephen's performance, do you think the Warriors missed the boat by not going all in to acquire more talented players for Stephen to play with? And going against putting a competitive team on the floor, which I think they did, and also cleaning up their books. Because that's important. I mean, to the average fan, it might not be that important. What might be most important is to say, listen, you got a generational talent, a a a a a player who will go down in history as truly one of the greatest of all time. Finances be damned. Put the best team on the floor that you can. Is that your stance? I don't really feel that way. And I don't feel that way because very few people in the history of the NBA have won 4 championships. Not many. He's won 4. It's a different game now. What I'm excited about is I hope that he has a lot of juice left, because the Warriors are going to be competitive. I got him winning 45 to 48 games this year. I think that will be pretty close to the 6th seed just because of the parity in the NBA this year. So I'm interested in getting the fans' perspective though, because you could build a pretty good argument that says that, we should do anything, meaning Warrior management, to put a great team around him. How do you feel about it? Vicky said, I heard anything but Baron Davis coming back to the Warriors. No. I don't. What, as a coach? Maybe as a coach, as a development guy. Although it doesn't seem like Baron Davis's bag to me. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe sitting out a couple of years, watching many of his friends build careers in coaching has piqued his interest. And he's interested in contributing. I would think that if he came to the Warriors, it wouldn't be as a player. It would be more as a development guy. But that's interesting. Where'd you hear that at, Vicky? I certainly haven't heard that. Baron Davis has a lot of things going on in media as well. So I don't know. Hell of a player, that's for sure. Glendosha says, boxing is dying because of 3 reasons, in my opinion. Number 1, the American heavyweights are now in the NFL. The heavyweights lack serious star power. 2, the best fighters don't fight each other. And 3, UFC. Very thoughtful answer, and I would agree with you. UFC has definitely changed the game. We don't even know who heavyweights are. I think for like the last 15, 20 years, 25 years, it's been the welterweights and the lightweights that have really run the industry. And also, like you said before, the best fighters don't fight each other. So, which is a shame, because outside of Stevenson from Cuba, who would win the heavyweight gold medal every year, America would won the Olympics and became the boxing, but not anymore. Vicky says, I think they can win 50 games, meaning the Warriors. Why do you feel that way, Vicky? Why do you feel that way? Based on the competition. Because I'm looking at a team like San Antonio now. Ooh. They're not going to be an easy win at home or on the road. They're going to be tough. So, Clippers will be down, regardless of what their owner says and thinks. They're not going to be as good. The Lakers, I think, are going to be good. I think one of the benefits of playing in the Olympics is Anthony Davis and LeBron got to play in more high leverage moments, high leverage games. And they're a tough candidate. They really are. I think the Lakers are going to be better. Sacramento is going to be really good. Sac got one of the best rosters in all of basketball. The same thing that I said about LeBron and Anthony Davis, you could make the same argument about KD and D-Book because they've been outstanding. So if the Warriors win 50 games, I would be surprised by that. I think they'll be close, somewhere between 45 and 48. If they win 50, that would be outstanding because they would be solidly in the playoffs. But I don't have a whole lot of confidence in Buddy Hield. I wish they had Clay. But I'm excited to see Kuminga play. I really am. And Wiggins, they got players. The Warriors got a nice roster. My man Steve-O says, Shikari looking at I put my glasses on. Sorry about this. Shikari looking at opponent before crossing the line was a boss move. Yeah, I know. Lewis Johnson called it a beat moment. Yeah, that was dope. That could be on the picture. I mean, think about this. She lost 100 because she has bad technique. Her start is so slow. As fast as Sha'Carri Richardson is, she can improve quite a bit just with better training, better technique. But that beat moment, to be running that fast and have the audacity to turn to her right and go, yo, you ain't catching me, or see you later. That was one of the moments of the Olympics. And I have to say this. Maya Moore was the most beautiful running. I mean, she had the most beautiful stride I've ever seen from a women's basketball player. I love watching Maya Moore run. She was awesome. I feel the same way about Gabby Thomas. I'm just on track and field. Gabby Thomas has the most beautiful stride. I love watching her run. Graceful. Like a deer. Vicky says, I think the Warriors are better than last year. I agree with you. I think the league's better also. JK is looking better, he's looking buff. Yeah, I can't wait. That's gonna be fun. Hopefully, it doesn't take these Olympians who basically have not had any time off. Hopefully, it doesn't drain them. Although I got to think that their prospective coaches are going to take things in consideration, and maybe they'll start off slower because they put a lot of time in. No doubt. Another thing I want to ask you all is this. This 49er, Brandon Ayuk, slow walks, at this point has to be annoying to everybody. And let me ask you this question. What would the noise be if this was Mark Davis? If this was the Raiders dealing with a player like a Tim Brown or one of their stars, they would be getting killed in the media and by the fans. I think the media, I think the fans have gone light on the 49ers. And it's just interesting to me, it kind of shows you that the media space not equal and it's not fair. And it's really not a big deal. But perception does become reality. If the 49ers ultimately sign Brandon Ayuk, it will be at a number that they could have signed him at months ago. Now, if he gets traded to Pittsburgh and the 49ers take what they take from that, then that's all good too. But this whole scenario to me It's just taking way too much time. And I think they need him to be great. I think they need him. I watched a little bit of the Grant Home podcast, and he did a little math, and he basically said, yo, today's price is, yesterday's price is not today's price. I'm paraphrasing. Use my man Fat Joe. But basically what he's saying is that the dollar goes a lot further in Pittsburgh than it does in the Bay Area. So why would you take less money? If you look at the value of contracts, you got to take that into consideration. So, I hope the 49ers sign Ayuk and just deal with the repercussions of it later, because all teams find a way to deal with it, particularly as you get closer to the season. It was fun watching the 49ers, though. And because it got me thinking also, though, a lot of the problems, now, they were playing second and third string guys. But it'll be interesting moving forward watching this team play, because the 49ers got ran on at certain points last year at the end of the season. And everybody swore that it was Steve Wilkes' fault. Wilkes is not there anymore. And, that's an area that I think fans and Shanahan and everybody else is going to be watching, because the front line wasn't dominating. The defensive line were not dominating yesterday. And maybe because they're just the second and third string players who won't be on the team. It's not the first stringers. I get it. But it also might be scheme, or it might be something else associated with them, playing good football at the line of scrimmage. I have no idea. We can watch it more. But it's something to think about. You signed the contract, live by it. Okay. I get that, Vicky, but I would ask you this question. How many all-star, all-pro wide receivers are willing to go into the last season of that deal without an extension? Not 2 years, but the last year. He's played 4 years already. It isn't like he came to them last year and was like, baby, this is last year. So he has a contract. He might ultimately have to honor this contract and play. But his mode of operation is not out of bounds by any stretch of the imagination. It really isn't. Because one hit, his career could be over. Done. That's football. Keith says, what's taking so long with Ayuk, right? Trade him or sign him? It's his decision, I hear. I have a feeling tomorrow we find out. Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. And based on the information that we have, you could easily say that it's Ayuk's fault at this point, because the 49ers had a deal in place with New England. He didn't want to go to New England. The rumor is, they had a deal in place with Cleveland also. He didn't want to go to Cleveland. I kind of see both sides, because he's kind of a free agent. He's not a free agent, but he's kind of a free agent. But the 49ers are like, listen, there aren't a lot of teams who have salary cap space. So we won't trade you. We can't trade you necessarily to who you want to go to. So we got to do a deal. The last thing you want is a player that you trade for coming into your organization that you're going to pay a hell of a lot more money than the players you already have on your roster and have that player not be jumping for joy to be there. So, like, New England quickly bowed out, and rightfully so. I mean, Cleveland probably is like, we don't really want the guy now. Pittsburgh, I think, would still like to do a deal. But whether or not it comes to fruition, I don't know. I would like to see the 49ers sign the guy, keep him here. In spite of all of the histrionics, because it doesn't mean anything. It's really about money. That's what it's about. It's about money, nothing else. These feelings, nobody really cares. Trent Williams is one of the most professional football players in the NFL. All he does is his job. But when the money ain't right, he don't show up. I need more money. You know? That's a business. He got a contract. Vicky says the 49ers have to pay Purdy next year. I don't hear a word coming from him. He is going out and playing. Yeah, Purdy was the last player drafted. It's not quite the same thing, and he's built differently. Everybody's not the same. I think your point is well taken, but I think that every negotiation is a little different. Now, there's a lot of people out there, Vicky, riding for Purdy to get $60 million. I don't think he gets $60 million. I don't think so. I think he's going to be in that $50 to $55 million club like all the rest of the guys. And that $5 million, $6, $7 million that they can save and pay somebody else is going to come in handy. But this idea that Brock Purdy is going to make $60 million next year, I can't see it. I can't. And I think he's smart enough to understand that every scenario is different. It is not the same. It is not like a blanket statement that says when you're next up, then you're going to get more than the previous quarterback. I don't think that's true. He's going to get paid, and he should get paid. Keith says, I would love Amari Cooper, a second and a fifth. Yeah. Yes. That's why the 49ers wanted to do it. You know? More than a fair exchange from their perspective. Cooper doesn't make a whole lot of money, although he would probably want an extension, and he would probably get an extension, but it's not going to be in the $30 million range. It's not. It's going to be more guaranteed money. Maybe like 30, 40 million in guaranteed money, something like that. And he's very professional, still very good. That's a deal that works. Ayuk doesn't want to go to Cleveland. So I'm just tired of it. I'm just really tired of it. I think that as we get closer to the regular season, get a deal done. You know, it's not going to be any hard feelings if he gets traded for 49er fans. And if he stays, those who feel a little salty about it, I mean, shake yourself. It's football. It's business, and it's football. All right? You heard Jerry Jones kind of change his tune a little bit today. A couple of days ago, he was like, well, we don't really miss CeeDee Lamb. You know, we're not in a rush to sign him. Now, oh, yeah, you miss CD. All about money. Jaden Daniels looked pretty good too. So my first team as a child was the Washington Club. So I think it's about time that they get somebody playing quarterback who they believe in, who can take them to the next level. I was happy to see him play well. And also Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix um, is more like the type of quarterbacks that Sean Payton um, feels confident to have. Um, Not spectacular, but very efficient. And watching Bo Nix play today, he looked like he's going to be the guy. I know it's early, but I watched Bo Nix at Auburn. I watched him at Oregon. He's an older cat. I think he's going to be okay. And good for him. I think the Denver Broncos, though, are going to have a tough time competing in that division. I think that the Chargers are going to be better. Certainly KC. Raiders, I don't know. I just think the Raiders are going to struggle offensively. Minshew is a good pro. Decent. I think he's going to be named the starter. If it's him or if it's O'Connell, you're talking about, at best, a top 20 to top 25 quarterback in the NFL. That's tough. Tough winning games when that's your best player. I also want to talk about Trey Lance. I was watching Trey Lance today, hoping that he was going to jump off my TV screen. And what he looked like was the Trey Lance that we saw a lot in San Francisco. Not a lot of touch on his passes, zero touch. I'm like, why every pass has to be a rocket to Mars? He's going to kill one of his wide receivers. He's going to break this bone, or he's going to cave in somebody's chest plate with the velocity on those footballs. I'm joking a little bit. He knows the offense, which was good, but his footwork is just average to below average. And I don't understand as a quarterback coach, because there's not a lot of difference to basketball. I don't care if I'm coaching a wing player, a guard, or a forward. I start with the footwork. Why isn't his footwork better? Because he's not going to be out of the league. He showed that he has enough to be a backup quarterback, as is. He has the talent to be a starting quarterback if he did the things that starters do. He's not unintelligent. He knows how to read, but he's not fast enough, and his footwork is average to below average. I'm like, why? You certainly can't put it on all the coaches, because Dak Prescott did not have the footwork when he came into the NFL that he has now. Much better footwork. So he's been coached up. The only thing I was thinking about today was I would love to see Trey in just a read run option offense. Similar to what Jalen Hurts was running, not last year, but the year before last. Very simple. Very simple. You read the defensive end. If the defensive end goes inside, then you run outside. If he takes a wide stance, then maybe you run a trap or you run. This guy should be able to play football at a pretty high level in the NFL. But watching him today as a standard drop back pocket quarterback, that's not his strength. He should be further along than he is right now. I was disappointed by that. I would give him a C. And with that said, he's going to be in the league. Because of his arm and because of his athleticism, He can play backup quarterback. But a guy with that level of investment that the 49ers made, with that talent, that physical ability, you think he'd be a starter. Keith says, Jerry Jones knows CD got leverage. Got to pay up. Trey didn't look good. Looking like a big time bust. Well, I think you have to lower your expectations, Keith. If you look at Trey Lance as a backup in the NFL, what would your assessment be? Because he was 24 of 38. He made enough plays. I mean, he got a starter's arm. Backups don't have an arm like that. Joe Montana said Trey didn't have the intangible skills that a quarterback needs. Purdy has all the intangible skills. It's true. It's absolutely true. And you don't have to be a quarterback guru to draw that conclusion. You really don't. That's what I talked about. I talked about nuance. You guys saw that little flip pass that Caleb Williams threw. He was pressured, and all of a sudden he just gently threw the ball over the offensive lineman to Swift, who ran for like 30, 40 yards. That's improvisational skills on display. That's what quarterbacks do. That's Patrick Mahomes going hard to his left towards the sideline, putting the ball in his left hand and throwing the ball left-handed. Trey doesn't have any of those skills. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating and it's sad because, I don't think you could draw any other conclusion than the one that Joe Montana drew. He does not have the intangible skills to play quarterback, which is really, really important. And Joe Montana was the ultimate improvisational quarterback who also had the fundamentals. So can't say he's wrong. I also want to ask a question. You guys know that I'm not the biggest baseball fan, professional baseball fan. I like the game. I play baseball, but Farhan, the general manager of the Giants, has taken a beating all season. How many people now have a different opinion about Farhan? I'm going to say probably not a whole lot. But you look at the Giants now, they're 61 and 59. 1.5 games out of the wild card. And they grinded all year. And they lost the guy from Korea, one of their big free agent signings. His name Lee. I think his name is Lee. I like how this team has played this year. Not the whole season, but on August 11th, they're 1.5 games out of the wild card. I think Farhan is not the greatest general manager in the world, but he's probably not as bad as fans think he is. Because this dude gets robbed. Farhan Zaidi is one of the most, he's not an owner. Farhan Zaidi is one of the most despised owners. He's not an owner. He's a general manager. And fans don't like him. My feeling is it's probably a little unfair. And I don't like the hoorah. So I'm just interested because it's a big topic on various shows on the internet. NorCal Sports, my man, all they do is talk about Giant baseball. They do a great job talking about it. But a lot of the fans, a lot of people who call up to NorCal Sports don't like Farhan. And, I've been watching Matt Chapman since he was on the A's. I love Matt Chapman. They beat Matt Chapman up. So I'm thinking that true baseball fans are probably somewhere in the middle. They want to win championships. They want to compete against the Dodgers. They don't think this team can. They don't have the personnel. They have a weak hitting lineup, but they play hard though. They grinded it out this year. Matt Chapman would be a valuable asset on a good team. But he has to be the man on the Giants. That's not why he came in. He's not capable of being the man. But he's having a damn good year. I meant GM, yeah, I know. Right. And thank you for helping me out here. His name is, Jun Ho Lee, who played in the KBO. Yeah. I think he was going to have a pretty good year. I think when he got hurt, he was probably around 250. But I think he's decent. Vicky says, Farhan needs to go. A lot of the Giants that are playing well weren't picked by him. Okay. I don't know. You know the history. I don't know the history of those players. I'm going to a San Francisco 49ers, New Orleans Saints preseason. This is something that you send in the mail. That's a DM quote, man. The Dodgers are a great season team. They can't win in the playoffs. Yeah, they've only won one World Series under Robert, which is striking when you consider how much talent they have. Mark Graves chiming in. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you, brother. He says they definitely missed the defenses in the field. Talking about Lee, right? Yeah. Mark, I know you check out a lot of the shows. I see you on NorCal Sports. What do you think about this team? I think they have a lot of heart. I don't know how many people who follow the team pretty closely kind of thought they were going to fall apart over the last couple of weeks, and they haven't. They had a tough loss today, a game that you wanted to see them win against Detroit, 5-4. But they battled pretty good. They really have. The Dodgers won in a bowl. Yeah, that counts. But I understand what you're saying. When you look at the Dodgers payroll, Vicky, and you look at their personnel, they should win every year. Them and the Yankees. Think about the Giants having Ohtani. Are you kidding me? Imagine that. Imagine if the Giants had Ohtani. They would sell out every game. So I understand the frustration. I get it. I just don't see a pathway to the Giants signing one of those players. And that's how you win. When the Giants signed Barry Bonds as a free agent, they were different. He changed the game. The pitchers have been steady this year. They're pitching well now. Maybe the White Sox have one of the weakest hitting lineups in Major League. It's amazing that they won 61 games. When you look at their numbers, it really is amazing. But I only bring it up because I don't think there's anything that Farhan can do. Farhan Zaidi, I don't think there's anything that he can do to win over the fans. And listening to Vicky, Vicky's like, he needs to go. Who do you put in that spot? think the manager's done a good job. I think Melvin's done a good job. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button if you like the show. Subscribe. If you have not subscribed, I am Frank Red. This is the In the Dungeon Show. Mark says he didn't help the team at the trade deadline. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. One thing he didn't do was trade Snell, which I think would have they would have picketed outside of his house had he traded Blake Snell. And there was some people who thought he was going to trade him. I was like, don't trade this guy. Ned Colletti. I love Ned Colletti. I mean, Ned Colletti's not only a good baseball guy, but he's cool. And I guess he's never been the general manager of the Giants. He's only been the assistant general manager, right? That's a good name. That's a good name. But I think they gave Farhan an extension, but it doesn't really matter. If they want to get rid of him, they could. Ned Colletti has a cool factor. And I think part of being able to woo free agents to your city are the relationships that are in place between players and management and players. It's a big deal. So from that standpoint, you have two things that you need. You have somebody who knows baseball. He's a lifer, knows what he's doing, and he's also a cool dude. So we'll see. But they have to hit a home run or they have to draft better. Now, some of the players that they've drafted, some of them like Fitzgerald, are starting to surface, even though I guess Farhan didn't draft those players. But some of those young guys are starting to surface at the major leagues, and that's a good thing. But they need to continue that process, and they need to hit a home run with a free agent. One other thing I wanted to talk about before I forget. I haven't heard a lot of good things about Joshua Dobbs as the backup quarterback, right? And we're not at practice every day, so we can only go by what we see online from shows that we watch, so on and so forth. But Josh Dobbs looked a lot better than I thought he was. Based on the reports that I got, the only thing I heard was Grant Cohn gives him a little. Grant Cohn paints a positive picture of Dobbs when he plays well. He talked about some times in which he's done fairly well. But you don't hear Josh Dobbs' name a lot in a positive sense with the 49ers. When I watched him play yesterday, he looked decent. He looked like a decent backup quarterback. So, I mean, he has a shelf life. I mean, Dobbs is a guy who can, he can run up 3-4 games in which you can possibly go 3-1. If he has to take over the team for the whole season, you're in trouble. But that's not what a backup does. But I was pleasantly surprised to see Josh Dobbs making some plays because I had not heard that from some of the eyes that I depend on to let me know what's going on in practice. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I've heard some other names. I didn't hear Josh Dobbs' name. But he looked decent to me. Larry said he's probably not making the team. Wow. Well, he's going to get signed by somebody. What do you think, Mark? I mean, I saw him on television yesterday. He looked decent. So maybe because the kid was Moriarty, is that his name? Oh. Maybe he beat him out in practice. I don't know. But I go back to what Mike Tomlin said. We value what happens in games more than we do in practice. You know, that would be my stance. And I mean, how do you guys think Josh Dobbs played yesterday? I thought he played decent. Okay, I'm in Arizona for this. No. Okay. He played pretty good. All right, I'm gonna talk to you about. I saw a movie this weekend also. The movie is called Die, D-I-D-I, and independent film about an Asian family. I think it's Chinese, and the movie's getting a lot of run right now. And the reason why people like this movie, Die, is because in the past, the simple stories that happen every day that are not mainstream were simply not covered. Primarily, you saw examples of how white society lived, how white teenagers lived. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we're seeing more and more examples of how everybody lives. And many other things that this Asian family was dealing with, a young boy and a young girl who were just kind of existing, learning how to live in one-parent households while going through the trials and tribulations of being teenagers. That's what the story was about. And it's simple in nature, but it was something that we can all relate to. And I love diversity in film. So it's not the best film I've ever seen before, but if you like film and you like seeing different interpretations of stories and narratives that we generally don't see, then you might want to check it out. There you go. I don't want to spoil it. Just a real quick reflection on the Olympics again. Most of the time, I'm kind of detached because I think it's really about show more than about sports. And I didn't feel that way this time. I was really impressed with all of the athletes, even just like the rock climbing. I love watching that. I mean, like, you saw how fast they got up those hills? 6 seconds? Crazy. I think we also got an opportunity to see how good Mike Tirico is. Mike Tirico is smooth. I thought he brought a lot to the table. I thought he was an excellent facilitator. As the point person of the Olympics, Maria Taylor was also very, very good. I think Snoop Dogg and Flavor Flav both did what they were supposed to do. Overall, I would give the coverage and the execution by the athletes, I would give it A's across the board. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I think it was A's across the board. Noah Eagle, 27 years old, is a rising star. He was like the next Marv Albert to me, because he was flawless. I think he, presented a platform and a space for Dwayne Wade. He doesn't have a whole lot of experience to shine. And as a result, I think Dwayne Wade opened some eyes, and he might have some opportunities to be a part of that NBA package from NBC if that's something that he wants to do. I thought he did pretty well. So I was happy to see that. So it's over now. We're getting closer and closer to the start of the NFL season. Sundays are the most unproductive day of the week for me, and I love it because I do absolutely nothing but watch football, watch sports, and a great time of year. I don't even like going to the games. I just go to a lot of Raider games. I don't even like going to the games. I'd rather just watch it on television. I got a nice 65-inch television, and I just sit there and engage in all the games that is happening. I don't have the NFL pass or anything like that. I have the service that they go from. I don't know what it's called. Where the guy navigates and goes to the games that are interesting. I have that package. It's like $5.99 a month. Not a lot. I'm not buying the ticket, I don't think. I don't need that. Yes. Yes. It's called Red Zone. Mark helped me out and Jimmy helped me out. Yeah, I can pay for that. You guys, I assume you guys got Red Zone also. I love the Olympics this year. It was great to watch. Watch it. Anytime I want it. Yeah. Red Zone is dope. It's because you got your own local teams playing, and then just go to Red Zone. A beautiful invention. I love it. I'm not mad at that. So. I don't think I'm one of the few people, but I am a person also that I don't know if it's equal or not, but I love college football. So on Saturdays, I have a totally different mindset watching college football on Saturday than on Friday night. Ricky loves Red Zone also. So I'm ready for college football to start also. One of the things I wanted to say, and I don't want to say too much because I haven't listened to it in detail, but sometimes when I hear Deion Sanders talk about his team and about his role as a head coach and as an African American head coach, I mean, he sometimes makes statements to make you think that somehow his job is different than any other head coach. I take a little bit of exception to that. I think that innately, as a black head coach, you're coaching a lot of black young men, you might feel more responsibility to make sure that they're more than football players. I get that. That's not why you got hired. You got hired to win football games. That's your primary job. You can have 100% graduation ratio. No, you can have 100% graduation record of your players. And if you don't win enough football games, then you're gonna get fired. That's every coach. That has nothing to do with color. Nothing. So to highlight these other things that you feel you have to do as a coach because of the color of your skin and because of the players that you're coaching, I kind of take exception with that. Because I played for white and black coaches. And I got to tell you, the white coaches that I had never, ever inhibited my ability to take care of my education, to go to class. So I think Deion does care. I think he is a father figure and a great mentor, but Colorado got to do better next year. The one thing that's still in my mind is being up 30 against Stanford at halftime and losing that game. That killed their entire season. They got to win some games. That's why you're there. It's not an after-school special. It's about winning football games. In addition to doing all the other things that you're talking about. But priority number one is to win. Negotiations. Do you play fantasy football, Frank? I don't. I think you will love it. So help me out. How can I get into it? I'll do it. Help me out. SG says, I'm going to watch San Jose State versus Sac State game on August 29th. That's going to be a very competitive game to watch. Okay. Have fun with that one. Can't wait to see Michigan play this year. NC2A suspended Harbaugh for 4 years. That was kind of crazy because he ain't going nowhere in 4 years. So I didn't quite understand it. Even if he coaches in the NFL for the next 4 years, the suspension is concurrent. He theoretically could leave the NFL in 4 or 5 years to go back to college and serve the suspension. Doesn't sound like much of a punishment to me. And I'm not saying he should be punished anyway. Thoughts on San Jose State football and how would you rate your? Well, they just lost their coach. So they got the former coach at at the Naval Academy. I don't know. He got fired. Got fired from the Naval Academy. I was really impressed with the former coach, who I believe is he at Washington now or Boise State? But he was good. This guy, he's disciplined. He's had some success at Navy. I don't know. San Jose State is really not a big deal in football. They're respectable now, which is good. They're not a doormat like they used to be for so many years. But I think they should be Boise State. I think they should be Boise State in the late 90s, the early 2000s. Why not? They're in Silicon Valley. Why can't they get some money, get a great coach that they had? Their facilities have improved tenfold. They should be a little power in this region of the country. No reason why San Jose State shouldn't be good. So, I take a wait and see attitude with San Jose State. I was talking to a good friend of mine. I go to one Cal football game per year. I love going. Yeah. Oh, it's in Arizona. All right. Brett Brennan is currently head coach at Arizona. Right. The Arizona coach went to Washington. Right. Yeah, Brett's a good coach. He's won. I go to one Cal game per year with a good friend of mine. I love it. I love going to Cal games. Stanford, not as much. I don't have high hopes for Cal or Stanford this year. I don't really know how San Jose State's going to perform this year. I have no idea. So, but I like football. I just like football. I really do. So, all right, we got like another minute. I think we basically covered it all. Oh, one thing. Watching Draymond Green in France. If Draymond Green doesn't go WWE or Nurkic, is he on the Olympic team? I would say probably. But Steve Kerr couldn't go to bat for him. He couldn't do it. They said under no circumstance will this guy be on the team. And, hopefully there's a lesson there because I think he would have been on the team if he didn't let his emotions get the best of him. And that would have been awesome for him. I don't live in the past, so I'm not blaming him or thinking that that's going to linger in hopefully he's together and he's going to go out and have a great year. But I think that was a missed opportunity there. Vicky says Stanford and Cal will get their heads kicked in this year. Yeah, that's the consensus. We're going to see pretty quickly. But I would not be surprised. Just to travel alone, Vicky, is just a monster for Cal and Stanford. Whose spot would he have taken? I'm going to say Derek White or Halliburton. Yeah. And even though they don't play the same positions, I don't think that it really matters that much. I think that would have gave her the mindset that he probably would have played Edwards and Book less together, and maybe they would have been competing for minutes. But I think that Draymond, because of his front court defense and his passing ability, I think he would have been able to carve out some minutes. I think he would have been on the team. I don't think he would have taken Jason Tatum's spot. I don't think so. But I think Halliburton or Derek White, Draymond probably would have had one of those spots. As it turns out, I'm happy with the team as is. Even though I think he would have brought something to the table, I had no problem with him not being on the team. I didn't have any problem with Caitlin Clark not being on the team. I was happy to see that narrative not come to fruition. There's a really good podcast. I can't think of the name now. But basically, these former ESPN employees talk about the business of sports. That's what they do. It's really good. I can't think of the name of it. And I think one guy actually teaches a class, but Pablo, what's Pablo's last name? Pablo's on the show. And for months, they were talking about how somehow Caitlin Clark was going to ultimately be on the team. And that didn't happen. And I wasn't rooting for or against her. I just didn't think that after not being on the team, they were going to take somebody off just to put her on the team for this idea that she was going to grow the women's game that much just simply by her presence. I didn't agree with that. And Cheryl Reed is something else. Cheryl Reed she's tough. I'm happy that the women won the gold medal, but I didn't agree with everything that she did. I'm a big Sabrina Ionescu fan, and she didn't play a whole lot. She didn't play until the third quarter. I thought she should have played a lot more than she played. And I know Sabrina was pissed off, but she didn't show it. Great teammate. I think if Caitlin Clark was on the team, there would have been a lot more pressure to put her in the game by the fans, maybe by USA Basketball. And defense is not her strong suit right now. She's gotten a lot better. But those women, that the USA was going up against, played a physical brand of basketball. They played hard. Also, one of my last points, what about Gabby Williams being signed by the Valkyries? I would love for her to be on the Valkyries expansion team next year. She's from Nevada. I'd love to see that. Vicky says, I'm glad Draymond wasn't on the team. Now he will remember what his actions means. Yeah, I hear you. I don't disagree with that. Did you like Hallie's tweet after they won the go? It was funny. I don't know if I seen the tweet, but I think I read it. He gets it. Bottom line, Bottom line, he gets it. I did read it, Mark, but I don't remember what it was. But he was basking in the glow of being a champion and being a gold medalist. And guess what? He set himself up to have a role, I believe, 4 years from now. We don't have time for this. Which 12 players would you like to see on the 2028 Olympic team? I don't know. We don't know who's going to emerge. I can say that Mikal Bridges on the Knicks, maybe Jalen Brunson. I don't know. Are probably two candidates. I wouldn't count out Stephen Curry and KD. I wouldn't do that. It wouldn't surprise me if Cooper Flagg's on the team, even though he's never played a college game. I think he's going to have a meteoric rise. Klingon, the center out of UConn that was drafted by Portland, I think in 3 or 4 years he'll be one of the top defenders in the NBA. So it's too early, SG. Be interesting to see what your list looks like. Moody on the Olympic team? I don't think so. That'd be nice. But what is my opinion of Moody? I saw his workout tapes. Dude's getting the work in this summer. Listen, Nikki, I am so excited about watching these guys play because Moody, Kuminga's tapes, I have to throw Brandon Podzinski in there, Trace Jackson Davis. The Warriors got some good young guys who could emerge this year. Mark says he equated to being in a group project. He got the goal, for doing nothing on the group project. Yeah, I read it. That was Halliburton's quote. I thought it was funny. It was funny and self-deprecating. I love it. I love it. That's what coaches want. That's what coaches want. And your reputation means everything. It really does. It means everything. A lot of these young players don't necessarily understand that. They learn when they get older, when they lose job opportunities, $1 million deals. It's a big deal. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Quinn Cook. Quinn Cook never started at Duke. Quinn Cook is a 3-time NBA champion. Always one of the best teammates on any team that he's ever on. He's a 2-time champion as a Golden State Warrior. Went down to Los Angeles, won a championship in the bubble. I'm not in his pocket, but I assume he's doing pretty well. In his post-NBA career, post-Duke career. I think he might have won a national championship too. Why? Good player, better person. Good player, better person. SG, I think Caitlin and Angel Reese have a chance to be on the Olympic team. Caitlin more than Angel, but I think Angel, there's no reason why they think he won't have an opportunity also. Yeah. All right, I'm going to break down. Gone for an hour and 38 minutes. I appreciate y'all. And, what a week in sports. What a couple of weeks. It's been outstanding. Thank you, Vicky. Thanks for a great show. Love chopping it up with you about sports. Yeah. Absolutely. I look forward to talking to you as well. And remember what I said. I'll keep it there. I want everybody to have a great week. And I don't know. I mean, if there's something to talk about midweek, then I'll be on. If not, I'll definitely be on again next Sunday. Mark Gray, thanks for staying up late, and everybody else as well. And I'll do my thing and get out of here. Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. You as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better. far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. Hopefully, you've hit the like button if you like the show, and you subscribe to the show. We're still working at it, and we'll continue to do so. Tonight was the 100th episode of the In the Dungeon show. Are you kidding me right now? I've done 100 episodes of the In the Dungeon show. I'm very proud of that. It's pretty impressive. Could not have done it without you. All right. Take care, everybody. Good night. Peace.